Welcome everyone. I am Cheshta, Head of Research and Content Strategy at People Matters, and I will be the host of this session today. People Matters, in partnership with ServiceNow, invites you to the future of People and Work Week to explore how AI is helping HR work actually smarter across a range of functions from speeding up case resolutions to simplifying onboarding, continuous learning, and workplace services. Our week long sessions featured panel discussions, LinkedIn Live sessions, thought provocative conversations that unpacked real world examples, practical strategies, and some super cool innovations that you can actually implement and contextualize for your organizations. So, what's in it for you for this session? We will discuss some practical insights on how organizations are successfully leveraging AI for strategic HR outcomes, from case resolution to enhancing workplace safety. And this session will essentially cover how AI tools, some of the ones that you are using or intending to use, are optimizing HR functions, improving employee experience, and also delivering measurable ROI, which is the key outcome business leaders are looking for today. And I'm glad to share that we have an amazing guest speaker with us today to have a conversation about this. A very warm welcome to you, Bahar Niakan, Global Executive Employee Experience at ServiceNow.
Hi, Cheshta. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Bahar. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here with everybody.
Wonderful. It's a pleasure to have you here, Bahar, today, and I am looking forward to our conversation as well. For our audience, a little bit about Bahar. She brings over 20 years of senior leadership experience in the public and private sectors, where she is focused on transforming the employee experience and making organizations work better. By leveraging smarter systems, streamlining processes, and stronger partnerships, she's helped multiple organizations achieve real lasting improvements in how they actually operate and also streamline workflows. So, with this amazing context, I would love to dive deep into the conversation, Bahar, and hear a lot more about such instances from you.
All right. Well, I think regarding my journey into transformation, I started really in IT transformation first, many years ago when I was in federal government. I led the training and change effort for transferring our people in our organization from the email that we were using to a new email platform that no one had ever used in our organization. It had just come out and become available, called Microsoft Outlook. And so I did say it was many years ago. And so over the next 2 decades, I continued to lead transformation initiatives across our organization, across different areas of operations, including HR, travel, facilities, contract management, and grew into progressively responsible positions over time. Until one day, I found myself being asked by the CHRO of our 85,000 person organization to manage an organization wide initiative called Reimagine HR, where we were going to focus on how we could transform the HR service and the HR experience that we provided to all of our employees. And so it was during this time that I got a real sense of how many disconnected and duplicative systems we were using across the enterprise, how siloed our teams were, and also the lack of alignment between really how hard our HR team was working across the enterprise. And they were working really hard, but the impact that it was having on our employees wasn't necessarily always positive. And so I recall a customer telling me that HR was like a black hole. You send an email in asking for help. You don't know where it went. You don't know who got it. Did anyone get it? Is someone going to respond? When are they going to respond? And there's no sense of it. And so for folks who aren't aware of what a black hole is, it's an object in space with a gravitational pull so strong that nothing, not even light, that can get out of it. And that's what our employees thought of HR. So when I was asked to become deputy CHRO of our organization, about a year later, we really saw the opportunity to transform the experience that our employees were having with HR and the opportunity to put our people at the center of everything that we did. And so through that experience, I learned then what I know today, which is that you can do anything and everything using the platform. And we certainly did. We got to see firsthand how the right technology could really dramatically scale impact. And we simplified processes, we empowered self-service, and we shifted from the reactive to the proactive and reinvested the bandwidth that we found into improving employee experience and our workforce alignment. And we really transformed what was possible in our industry. And I think we turned on a bright light for our colleagues in our peer organizations across the industry regarding the shifts they could make to transform HR and also their employee experience. So I didn't join ServiceNow then. A few years passed before I actually first joined a ServiceNow partner, the partner community, and helped customer organizations drive transformational change in their organizations. And then last year, I had the opportunity to come to the mothership, as I call it, and join ServiceNow as Global Executive for Employee Experience. And what I do in this role is help our customers really learn how to use automation and AI to simplify work and really transform the employee experience. So I've had the pleasure of working with organizations across APAC, including in India, Singapore, and Australia. And I'm super pleased to be here with all of you for this discussion.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Bahar. First of all, congratulations on the new phase of life as well. I hope the little one is doing great. And secondly, thank you so much for explaining and walking us through your successful journey and how you found yourself at ServiceNow as well. While you were talking about your journey, Bahar, you also briefly touched upon some of the critical challenges that HR teams have been facing when it comes to our technology platforms, workflows, etc., such as disconnected systems, which also lead to fragmented data and subpar impact. Um, uh, Deep diving on some of these challenges and the others as well as you may have, what do you think where AI can make a meaningful difference? And why, according to you, is it really essential today to measure HR's contribution to business outcomes more than ever?
Yeah. Well, HR has always been in a tough spot, and I think that it's gotten even tougher as the rest of the organization has increased its expectations. HR is expected now to do more than ever, continue supporting the people as they've always done. So from the beginning of their journey to the end, all of the moments in between, and even after they depart. They also are expected in HR to personalize the employee experience, show that we care as an organization for our employees, drive employee engagement, drive employee development, all the while still focusing on the big picture like workforce planning and upskilling. So the problem for HR is that we spend a lot of time, as I mentioned, like the experience that I had, in outdated systems, using outdated tools, and it ends up being a lot of manual work for our employees, swivel chair, going from one system to another system, bouncing from department to department, team to team, to try to get the answers that they need to be able to help the employees that they serve. And just thinking about it's exhausting. So that's why I think AI is such a big game changer now, especially with what we're doing at ServiceNow, because it's not just about saving time anymore. We're talking about AI that can take action. So answer questions, update records, kick off workflows, and all of this without needing a human to jump in. I mean, certainly the human is part of the process, but they don't have to be integrally what I'm saying, involved in every single part of the process. And it's like we're finally getting the help that we've needed. So, but here's the kicker. I mean, we have to be able to show value in HR. It's not enough to just say that we're faster. We need to prove it.
Right.
And so with platforms like ServiceNow, HR can track things like how quickly cases get resolved, how employees feel about the support that they're getting, and even bigger things like how long it takes to hire or promote internally. And that's the kind of data that gets the attention of the business. It's how HR starts showing up as a true driver of outcomes and as a business partner at the table.
Right, absolutely. And thank you for sharing some of those use cases that you mentioned, how, AI can actually make a meaningful difference into HR's contribution, and them also being a strategic partner to driving business outcomes, actually. I'm curious to understand a little bit more about this tool, Now Assist for HR. Can you walk us through a specific example of that, and what key HR process it has improved? Any changes you have observed in the employee experience or service levels post that AI adoption? Would love to know some numbers and success rate about it.
Yeah, of course. So before I step forward into the examples of how Now Assist has improved HR, I want to talk about the fact that we went and talked to customers around the globe to make sure that we understood what was really important to them as we were developing Now Assist. So we spoke with hundreds of customers, and two priorities really, they highlighted two priorities. One was that our customers wanted their workforce to be able to ask a language in their natural language, a question in their natural language, and to be able to get a direct and personalized response through a conversational interface. And second, they wanted to be able to take action through that same conversational interface. So those are the things that we really focused on as we were developing Now Assist. So an example of where Now Assist has improved a key HR process is the way that we handle leave of absence requests. So it's one of those processes that seems pretty straightforward on the surface, but when you really get into it, there's a lot going on. Like there's policies, eligibilities, compliance, management approvals, sometimes even legal checks. And it usually comes at a moment when an employee is already under stress. So they're not asking about leave because everything's going great, although sometimes it is just about vacation. But it's always when something important is happening in their life. And so in the past, this could lead to a lot of back and forth with HR. And I have to say that I was guilty of this too in previous lives, asking a lot of questions because you want to make sure you do it right. Am I eligible? Where do I go to find the form? Who do I need to notify? When do I pull my manager into the discussion? So it's time consuming for the employee because you're navigating a maze to find the information that you need, the manager because the manager is trying to help their employee, and also for the HR team. So with Now Assist, that experience is completely different. The employee can just ask, how do I take parental leave? Or am I eligible for medical leave? And the AI provides an immediate personalized response because the platform is integrated with your human capital management system. So it recognizes the employee's role, it recognizes the employee's location, it recognizes things like the employee's employee type, you name it, it recognizes it. And so it provides a personalized response based on all of those criteria. And it can even start the case and walk them through what happens next. So the employee feels like they're being taken care of, guided and supported, and HR doesn't have to manually answer the same questions over and over again. So we've seen service times drop, case resolution times speed up, and what's really interesting is that employee satisfaction goes up too. I think it's almost 90% of employees feel like they are getting great response from AI. So people feel like the process is working for them, not against them. I think a lot of administrative processes often feel like a burden for employees. And now that the AI is involved, they feel supported. And that's the bigger picture, right? I mean, AI isn't about removing the human side of HR. It's about supporting the human side of HR. and really letting us lean into it by automating all of the manual effort that used to be on the shoulders of our HR staff as well as on our people, so that we can focus on the moments that really matter.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that in such detail and sharing some of the metrics as well, Bahar. I think this really seems like a tool that definitely provides not just efficiency but a great employee experience as well at all the levels to all the stakeholders that you've mentioned, which is pretty cool. Bahar, one of the things that we have actually heard a lot of HR leaders, saying is that they are aware of, the value AI brings. They know that, and they are bought into the idea for sure. There's no doubt about it. When it comes to delivering the ROI, and even prior to that, measuring the ROI, that's where some of the challenges lie. So, since you were talking about a couple of metrics around the Now Assist tool as well, could you walk us through some metrics that HR leaders should definitely track to demonstrate the AI-driven ROI? Can we really go beyond the efficiency to also show the business value and the people impact that we track?
Yeah, absolutely. I think having been in HR for so long, you really get wrapped around the idea of efficiency, because you recognize that not everything is really as efficient as it could be. But the first thing I'll say is that you have to really go beyond efficiency when you're measuring the impact of AI on HR work, because efficiency doesn't really capture the full value that AI brings to the organization and to your people. So it definitely brings efficiency through automation, which is a big deal for anyone in HR. But what's cool about it is that efficiency is only really the starting point of the value that AI brings to HR. So I would really recommend highlighting the value through three perspectives: operations, experience, and strategy. So, first, HR leaders can look at operational metrics to prove the efficiency and certainly the automation at scale by focusing on things like time to resolution for cases and requests, deflection rates, which track how many cases were resolved through AI without human interaction. You can also look at all the common HR actions that are now handled by AI, like I mentioned leave of absence earlier, benefits questions, etc., that no longer require the manual intervention by your team. Second, I think you really have to look at the experience feedback that you're getting. What is the actual impact of AI on the people? Because they're what you're placing at the center of everything that you're doing when you're putting AI into place. So things like higher employee satisfaction for HR interactions really reflects that AI is improving the employee experience. You can measure quality and service by how often employees get the right answer or outcome the first time through AI without having to contact a person. And also, don't forget your own team, your HR people. Gauge your HR workforce. Ask them about the difference that they're experiencing now that AI has reduced the manual, repetitive tasks that they had to carry on their shoulders. And now they have all this free time and space and the ability to pick their heads up and breathe and really be able to focus on higher value work. And then operations, experience, and finally strategic metrics. So how is AI aligned with business value? It's going to increase productivity, both for the workforce as well as for the manager, as well as for your HR staff. Improvements in talent retention, things like employee engagement, the speed of action that's impacted because leaders can now first actually get data that they need, and second, get it pretty quickly to be able to inform their decision making. And so AI empowers HR to act more like a business partner rather than just a service provider. So just this week, I heard from one of our technology customers, as an example, who has implemented Now Assist. So they said that their ratio of HR agents to employees has shifted in the last year in the last year in particular, from one agent to 300 employees to one agent to almost 900 employees. So
3x.
yeah, that's amazing. And it's all thanks to expanded self-service and smarter agent workflows. And the number of HR agents, they almost that were required for the all of the manual work that had been necessary previously dropped by half, which really shows how automation can significantly reduce workload and still be able to improve quality of service. But the important thing for the customer was that they shared that the capacity that was created through the AI wasn't used to cut corners or the staff. They actually reinvested the
Yeah.
capacity that they gained. So teams were reallocated to building new AI use cases, and they also upskilled former HR staff into HR business partners. So HR staff who might have been doing more of the transactional work were now HR business partners doing more of the consultative work, helping HR play a more proactive role in workforce planning and business alignment. So you definitely get efficiency with AI, but when HR leaders measure AI's impact across those three areas that I mentioned, so operations, experience, and strategy, you're also proving that HR has the power to drive real business value in the organization.
Yeah. Bahar, thank you for sharing such an amazing client success stories. I think this truly kind of assures a lot of trust in the AI and how the efficiency and the productivity saved is not just saved but reinvested in doing something more. So it's sort of an engine that the organization has created, which is quite powerful. And also, thank you for like breaking down those metrics really into three key segments: operational, experience, and strategy. And speaking of strategy, I truly believe I think AI does not just have a capacity to automate the repetitive tasks, activities, or actions, but it does support and has a potential to support strategic decision making as well. So speaking of that, how can, according to you, HR teams ensure that AI doesn't just automate but truly augment some of those decision making as well in an uncertain world where there is a lot of decision paralysis with each change in environment that we are facing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in HR, it's easy to focus on automation. That's where we've been focused for a really long time. And AI certainly helps with that. It makes everything easier. It can make it more cost effective, more efficient. And that all of that is super valuable. But the real opportunity and transformation in HR is using AI to really augment how we make decisions, especially the strategic decisions. And so I think for HR leaders, the question is, how do we do that? I think first we need to flip the question. So what I mean is, like, instead of asking things like, what can we automate, what other questions should we be asking? So maybe it's what decisions do we wish we could make faster with maybe a little bit more confidence and with a lot more insight, more data informed decision making. And so that simple mindset shift takes AI from being a tool to really being a strategic business partner. And so an HR leader asking questions that way is asking, where do we need better judgment, not just better efficiency? Like, they understand that the value of AI isn't in working harder, it's in working smarter. And they're thinking about how AI can elevate how their teams and their organization actually operates. So not just about doing things right, but actually thinking about doing the right things with AI as a thought partner. So second, I don't think that we can talk about strategic AI without talking about data. Clean, connected, and really contextual data is foundational for AI, and I've
Yeah.
seen that to be the case. Pardon?
Yeah, I was just agreeing with you. Go ahead.
And I've seen that to be the case with across our customer organizations. I think that AI leaders have lived the reality of data living in too many spreadsheets for a really long time. And like I mentioned, the disconnected systems, the duplicative systems, the siloed teams that aren't engaged and don't necessarily communicate with each other, or don't have the paths to be able to communicate and share information with each other. So we really need to build data fluency in HR. So not just in the analytics roles, but across the board. So our teams can learn to engage with the AI insights and also better engage each other. So start with the strategic questions and prioritize the data and the data fluency. And finally, I think it's about how we embed AI in how we make decisions. Not just in using it to speed up workflows. So whether we're talking about like skills forecasting or employee sentiments, AI should be helping us see the things that we can't normally see on our own, so the things that are around the corner. And that's what it really means to move from automation to augmentation. Because at the end of the day, we're not just trying to run HR more efficiently, we're trying to lead more effectively. And I think that AI, when applied correctly, can do exactly that.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. I think some of these examples that you've shared in augmenting the decision making are really cool, and I think we'll give our audience some of the key takeaways that they can take and plan, probably even in their Monday morning action or long term strategy. So yeah, these are definitely helpful. Let's zoom out a bit. And while we were talking about, and I completely agree with you on data quality being the foundation of AI, I also wanted to understand a little bit about the hype, the ambition, the evolution. So, according to you, Bahar, what's next in the AI HR evolution, and how should HR leaders prepare for that next wave of intelligence?
Yeah, so we're at a really cool um, turning point for AI. I think a major shift, because a lot of the focus has been on automation, but the next wave is really going to be around autonomy. So agentic AI, which is AI that acts on behalf of the user or the person, is starting to reshape HR. So we're no longer just digitizing forms or routing tickets. We're also talking about an AI that can initiate and complete tasks, anticipate employee needs, if you can believe it, and drive outcomes with little to no human intervention or manual inputs. And so at ServiceNow, we're seeing this evolution in action. So the Now AI platform with agentic AI can do things automatically, like resolve employee issues by pulling from knowledge bases, past case history, real-time policy updates, and really through a team of AI agents orchestrating end-to-end business processes. So what used to take a team of people significant time to accomplish now can take seconds. And that means HR teams are really freed up to focus on strategy and not just service requests. In fact, we've seen about 70% of HR requests resolved entirely through AI and self-service. And like I mentioned, about 90% of employees say it helps them also to get help faster. So it's a clear sign that when we put people at the center and really focus on their needs and power that experience with AI, we can unlock real value. So where do HR leaders really need to invest their time right now? First, I would say they need to focus on their operational readiness. That means the cleaning up of the data. Clean data is really important. Breaking down silos, making sure that your processes are digitally enabled or ready to be digitally enabled. Making sure also that you have an open mind to what might be possible with AI, and that things don't always have to continue in the way that they've always been. There are opportunities to make change and to create improvement through that change, through the AI. So we've helped customers build strong foundations so that AI can actually work the way that it's meant to. The second area where they need to really invest their time as HR leaders is organizational readiness. And I can't stress this enough. Um, I told you earlier before we started the conversation that this is really about the people. We need to prepare our teams, our people to work with AI, not just work around it. So this might include reskilling. It includes for sure change management, and absolutely it includes building trust. So we're seeing, and I mentioned this earlier, that almost 90% of workers feel AI is improving the support that they receive. And that trust is essential when you're asking your teams to embrace something that's so incredibly different from what they've experienced before. It's an intelligent, responsive system. And when people trust the tools, they're more willing to lean in. So, as a leader, be transparent. Communicate what direction your organization is taking, why it's moving in that direction, and invite your people to play a role in helping you shape the future of your organization. Um, I think that people might be a little bit hesitant to start at the beginning, but once they see the first small step in the direction that you've set together, they'll start to take more and more steps, and soon faster and faster steps, and you get farther when you work together in the same direction. So adoption doesn't just happen. You have to have the trust of your people, and they also really need to believe that the transformation is going to make a positive difference in their lives. So they're not going to be measured any longer by how many tickets they've resolved. HR is going to be measured by how well it transforms the employee experience and how it drives business value. So AI, especially when it's paired with a platform like ServiceNow, gives us the tools to make that future real. And HR leaders who lean in now are going to shape what's next for their people and for their organizations.
Right. Thank you so much for talking about the agentic AI. I think a lot of organizations and leaders are considering that, Bahar. So it gives them some bit of, quite a lot of actually clarity around not just about agentic AI, but also how ServiceNow has been using it. And I completely agree with you on the change readiness part. In fact, Bahar, I would like to highlight we recently conducted our state of HR industry study,
Mhm.
and it actually proved what you said. Majority of the HR and business leaders showed change readiness, but it wasn't converting into change execution because it was not centered around people and enabled by technology. So that technology maturity and addressing the issues, keeping people at the center of it, as you rightly said, is very, very important. And the study also highlighted that 64% of organizations are going to miss out their HR transformation objectives if their efforts are not people centric and tech enabled. And I'm sure the efforts that ServiceNow are doing are, keeping the client's people centricity in mind.
Absolutely.
So
People are the treasure of your organization.
yeah, totally. And tech being the true catalyst of making that transformation happen. So, wonderful discussion, Bahar. Would just love to conclude this with one last question. If you were to give one advice or call to action for the HR leaders considering riding in the next wave of transformation, that is agentic AI, what would that advice be?
Okay. I would say lean in, take action starting now. So don't wait for everything to be perfect. Nothing in life is ever perfect. Just start where you are. Focus on the pain points that your people are experiencing every day and use those as your entry point. You don't have to boil the ocean. I think that what we found with our customers is that when they start small and grow from a certain point, they have better success. So use that as your path forward as well. Uh, Starting small, where your people are experiencing pain, and moving forward from there. The organizations that are winning with AI are the ones that are applying it with purpose. So ask yourself, where can AI really free my team to focus on what really matters? And then decide, how will you lead your organization through that shift?
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much for summarizing it so well, Bahar. And thank you again for your invaluable insights and the global perspective you bring to the table. I hope with this, our community also gets a real sense of how organizations can and are, in fact, successfully leveraging AI for strategic HR outcomes. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. And we hope you loved it, our week long campaign, as well as this session specifically. And looking forward to chatting soon.
All right. Thanks, Cheshta. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Bahar.